What's going on, brothers? Today we are here with none other than Taylor Cavanaugh, former Navy SEAL, French Foreign Legionnaire, all-around American fucking badass, savage of a guy. He's invited us out to this beautiful winery out in Temecula, so we're gonna get to know him a little bit. We're gonna shoot a podcast with him, get to learn his crazy story from being in the SEALs to being kicked out of the SEALs to, you know, going through tons of hardship, almost killing himself, and then bringing himself out of that, and now into the positive place that he's in. Man of God, but helping other people and changing other people's lives through fitness, nutrition, changing people's lives and their mentality. It's a beautiful thing. So we're gonna talk to him a little bit, get to know him, and yeah, subscribe to the channel. Be ready to see some crazy value out of this. Welcome to the Ula Jordan podcast. We got a special guest today. This man is a former Navy SEAL, French Foreign Legionnaire, a guy who is an absolute American fucking badass savage. Somebody who's been gracious enough to allow us to come to his side of the territory. We've got an excellent spot here where we'll be talking to him and going over a lot of things. So want to get right into it and introduce TCAV TV, TCAV official, Taylor Cavanaugh. Thank you so much, brother.
Thanks for driving down south today in the rain.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Well, like I was telling you, it was funny as we were on our way out here, and we were literally like, because we didn't know like you were gonna have an indoor setup, so we were like, "Yo, are we gonna have to shoot this in the car?" Like, I mean, it's just we're like, are we gonna have to like do like this fucking like carpool karaoke style fucking just sit in the car and do it? But
yeah, man, because I looked at the weather and I had a nice little outdoor spot set up next to the pool. And I was like, man, this ain't gonna work, bro. We gotta take new information and pivot quick. Yeah. Wine country, Temecula.
Yep, yes, sir. And I've never been out here before either, so this is definitely something different. But so I want to go through, definitely get you know, a lot. Your story, man, is not only inspirational, but it's just packed with so much like adversity, and the fact that you've been able to go through this adversity and learn while you're doing it and understand that everything that you went through happened for a reason, for a purpose, and you've accepted the fact that you made the mistakes and you gotta fix them. That's something that so many people I've noticed. Like, one thing I really like respected about you is all the mistakes that you made that we're gonna talk about, we'll go through some stuff, is you took it on the chin and you're like, yeah, I made that mistake. It is what it is. I gotta move on. Got to pivot, got to just go on to the next thing. And I really respected that, because a lot of people, so especially men nowadays, they don't want to accept the fact that they made a mistake. They don't want to accept the fact that like they did something to not destroy their lives, but you know what I'm saying? Like they go down a bad path and they're just like, oh, whammy.
It wasn't always like that, bro. It was diving into those depths, right? The depths to really come to that conclusion where I was like, oh, fuck, it's me. I'm the common denominator here. And when you're in it, when you're in those selfish or that selfish state of mind, or that immature state of mind that I was in for a really long time, I was violent with people in my life. I was emotionally unstable, right? And it was in those states, I never once took ownership for any of it, right? And it wasn't until all that noise was quieted and those titles were stripped away and any things that could build up my ego were all taken away, and I was like left in that French Foreign Legion barracks room, still seeking, right? To seek is to suffer, still seeking to fill that void. I went, holy shit, it's me. I'm here alone. Nobody else is gonna save me. What have I been doing? And then I was like, okay, and that's when I kind of started my real process of taking ownership, looking internal to heal self, right? And that's like, there's nowhere else externally to grab some title or some external validation, right? SEAL, Legionnaire, there was nowhere else to go. And that was a scary moment, but it was also liberating. It was also a liberating moment, because once I started doing those good daily disciplines, those habits, really started kind of saying no to myself, which we'll kind of get into there longer. Some things I still, suffer with, that's when I was like, oh man, I feel better. What do you know? I started to feel better. And that was kind of when I started to build this system that I like to, and started down this path.
So we'll backtrack. So you you at first, you had tried to get into different branches of the military before ending up in the Navy, right? So my question to you is like, why? Because I remember watching an interview of you. You said you always wanted to be a SEAL, but you went to other places first. Like you went to the Marines first. Why did you go to those other places first, even though you knew you really wanted to kind of be a SEAL?
You know, that was it. It was fear-based. It was 100% fear-based. And I was fucking terrified about ending up on a ship. It's like I wanted a gun and I wanted to deploy.
Scraping barnacles, right?
Scraping barnacles in the Navy. Because if you failed SEAL training, I grew up in San Diego. There's a lot of guys that solid athletes that better than me, and they failed. Nobody ever made it. And I was like, fuck, man, maybe it's like kind of a pipe dream, right? It felt like I wanted it so bad. And this is something that I had to learn is I felt like I wanted it so bad that there's no way I would be given it, right? That's kind of what it felt like. A dream, not even a vision, a dream. And so when the rubber met the road, right, I was afraid to commit down that. I wasn't ready to bet on myself. I didn't have confidence in myself in that capacity. And I was kind of fat, dude, right? I got out of jail. I had been arrested a bunch of times through, not like super, I was like football fat, right? Yeah. Like, yeah, like I was like, you know, like not cut, but like, you know, and I didn't know I was fat though at the time, right? I was probably 230 something, like, but that's heavy for me, right? At that, not in the good way. And so I got out of jail and I was like, I'm going to try the Marines. Tried the Marines, didn't work for the tattoos and stuff. They said no. Tried the Army. They said no. Background, they did a preliminary background check. I had been arrested too many times. So then that path, right? You can't do any wrong. Like kind of we talked about before is I said, all right, well, I was depressed. That's when I started learning about the French Foreign Legion. It's like, well, if I need to go in the military, I can, but I had debts and stuff, so I couldn't just leave. And I was depressed on my mom's couch for like 3 days. Really low. I was that 23-year-old riding a bike, living at his mom's house. That reality like sunk on me like a cloud. I'm like, I'm that fucking guy right now, right? I thought I was somebody, and now this is the reality is this. I got to get moving. And so that booming voice, man, I call it God. People can call it what they want, but it was like, get up, write down your charges, write them on a piece of paper. And when I wrote them down, the dispositions, it didn't look terrible. Like I had misdemeanors, no felonies or anything crazy that would, totally rule me out. But I was like, let's rock and roll. Let's roll the dice here. I went to a guy in the Navy. He told me, look, you can be a SEAL or scrape barnacles. And I said, okay, man, well, let's do it. He said, we can work with this. And that was what started that whole process of training and kind of getting that whole down in the pipeline.
You were depressed on your mom's couch for about 3 days. I don't know what it is, but so like when I was 296 pounds and I went to the doctor. Doctor did my blood work, did everything, came back in. And remember, I was eating, like I told you earlier, I was eating 2 or 3 DiGiorno pizzas a week.
You were bulking without the working out.
I was like, my diet was awful. I remember I was sitting in the office and the doctor walked in. He ended up becoming one of my mentors. The guy ended up changing my life. But he came in and he was like, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to have a stroke by the time.
Whoa, damn.
I had sleep apnea. I had high blood pressure. I was pre-diabetic. Ow. I had my triglycerides were like almost
flashing high score.
Dude, it was like, and I had everything that you could. I mean, it was really bad. And he was like seriously, you got to get your life in check. And I went home and I laid on my couch, on my mom's couch for like a week straight. And I don't know what it is, but there's always like there's days of like despair, and then it's just like, all right, I gotta fucking do it.
There's power in that though. There's power in that, and in a lot of motivational stuff. Whenever people are like, hey man, grab you up by your bootstraps and get going. There's some truth to that, but sometimes you gotta let it sit.
Yeah.
Action is good for anxiety, right? But sometimes you gotta figure out what the fuck to do, right? Exactly, and make a plan. Doesn't have to be the perfect plan. I'm not saying lay on the couch for a year, but there's a period of time that I think is reasonable for letting that marinate and letting your reality on. That's when I think honesty starts to hit, is when you're on your mom's couch, right? And you can actually correct action. It's just movement. movement's not necessarily in the right direction, right? You could be moving in the wrong fucking direction. Sometimes you got to get a plan, take that bearing, right? If you're lost in the woods, you don't just start, well, I've got to start moving. Man, they tell you to sit down, figure out where you're doing, and then take a correct bearing and start moving, right? So let it sit, let it marinate a little bit, but don't wallow in it, right? And that's kind of what I think we both experienced on the mom's couch, bro.
Yeah, like I had to marinate on the fact that my 296 didn't look like Jake Cutler's 296. Just I thought. There's that old, we'll have to put it in the editing. There's an old picture of Jay Cutler where he's sitting there like smiling, like eating like cereal or something, and his face is just massive. And I always I just fucking
yeah.
But okay, so then you do get into the SEAL. So let's I want to talk about the training a little bit, specifically the buds, because I remember you specifically said that Hell Week actually isn't that bad. It's the whole entire process of buds that's just overwhelming. Yeah. So talk a little bit about that. So you get in there, and what's it like? It's 24 weeks, buds if I'm not mistaken, right? Buds is 24 weeks, and you're in there, and like it's just, I heard stories you were talking about guys got to get like skin grafts and shit, or is that only during Hell Week?
That's generally during Hell Week, just because of the movement so long, and you're just that constant movement. You don't have time to dry out, right, and kind of change your clothes out. And so there's that constant wet salt sand mixture that's like sandpaper on your wet skin that causes some serious chafing, man. And dick, balls, sides, bro, like, you know, just real bad inner thigh. And it's a magical time. Like, you can't recreate that type of hardship. So those bonds are cool. You get really tight, and it's really hard. And you do have those poignant moments that you're like, man, that was pretty cool in retrospect. Yeah. When you're living it, you know, and they would make a stand and the sun would be going down, and the instructors would be like, okay, everybody put your arms up, right? Because the wind, like, you know, everybody wants to be like this. Yeah. So they make you put your arms up, and they go, okay, now wave goodbye to the sun. And they go, it's going to be a long night, man. You know, and so there was those moments where, looking back, it was funny, but man, they would make us swallow pills that would read your core temperature. No shit. And they'd put us in the surf and do hypothermic surf torture, and then we'd come out, and they'd wand everybody's stomachs down the line, because then people would fall over and seizure. They were so cold, and so they could tell people were faking. Yeah. Right. So, by their body temperature. Yeah, they could tell people, like, hey, get up, man, he's fucking faking. Yeah. So it was like hardcore, man, and the running was really brutal too. I'm not a good runner, and so it was stressful. It was stressful because I was so terrified of failing. I had nowhere to go, man. That's the reality I had painted in. First of all, couldn't have even paid my student loans. I had such a big student loan debt in the regular military. I wouldn't have made enough money. You make more money as a SEAL. So I knew there was that piece. Then I also knew, man, I did not want to be in the regular Navy, right? All the respect, but it just wasn't for me. And so I was really terrified about getting hurt. Things outside of my control. People go, oh man, if you didn't think about quitting, you're lying. No, I never thought about quitting once. I thought maybe I couldn't do it. Maybe I wasn't fast enough, or maybe something would happen. Yeah. But man, it was a powerful time and a really cool time also at the same kind of instance.
How many guys are in it from the very beginning?
We flew out with like 400 from the basic underwater demolition preparatory school in Chicago. Yeah. And some guys quit, changed jobs and stuff. So we actually classed up with like 285 after some initial tests and stuff. And then 3 weeks later, it was 185. We actually classed up first phase with 185. After Hell Week, it was at 50. We graduated about 50 guys. Some guys get hurt, roll in and out. So about 48 guys out of that 400. Wow. Graduated buds, right? And then you go to SQT after, which is 7 months long also. Wow. That's the skydiving, the land warfare, all the higher technical stuff.
How many guys make it out of everything, like after the buds, after the 7 months? How many guys are like
Man, it's about 40 something. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's about 10%.
Okay, so it's like about that number.
Wow.
Yeah. That's gnarly, man. That's insane. But so I guess when you're like, what are you distracting your mind with during those? So you start at nighttime. So you wave the sun goodbye, sun goes down, and then you start the training at night. What are you like, where do you have to go in your head? Are you just constantly thinking about like what you said, like I can't quit, like I have nowhere to go? Like, are you just...
That was an active thought. And also, man, I want to do this job. I want to not the title. I wanted to operate, man. I wanted to be that guy, right? And that's what called to me from a little kid. So there was that piece. Also, you're being good for your teammates, because it's done masterfully. It really is. The training is perfectly designed for team building, to expose weak members. It's done artistically. It really is. That training is unbelievable. And you work with your teammates, man, so you're engaged, right? You don't want to fucking quit because it's going to put more weight on your guys, right? If you have 7 guys in a boat and one guy quits, guess what? The boat's heavier now, right? So if you want to be, and that gives me the chills thinking about, man, you want to be good for your dudes, right? And you also don't want to show weakness, right? You don't want to be that guy. And people say, yeah, peer pressure, don't care about what people think. Man, fuck that, man. I give a fuck what people think about me. Big time, bro. Big time. Wait, you don't care about what people think about you? Man, I care about people respecting me. Fucking yes, I do. So that was a huge piece. I was like, man, I'm not going to quit because I'm not going to look like a little bitch, first off. And secondly, man, I want to be respected by these guys I'm with, right?
People who are now becoming like your brothers. Like, I'm sure that you really have a build.
Yeah, and we had been together for over about a year before that, right? From boot camp to Bud's Prep, right? It's like the same core group. And then all the way through, man, you're pretty tight with dudes.
So when you actually get in, so once you're in. When you actually start going out on missions, do they try to group you with those same exact guys because you guys are already close, or do you kind of get put into like other teams?
You get drafted out. Really know so you guys pick their coast. Country boys go East Coast, and all the SoCal bros, right? Go West Coast. That's where they're split. Or you can go SDV in Hawaii. But you can pick your coast, and so that changes. All the even number teams are on the East Coast, and all the odd number teams are on the West Coast. And then it just goes out to the needs of the teams, right? And they'll pick guys from that group, and you're ranked a little bit. There's maybe a piece of that, but mostly it's like 6 or 7 or 8 guys from each graduating class will go to one SEAL team, and then you'll get split up in between the different platoons. Yeah. So it's very rare that you actually will go through training and then we'll end up in the same platoon at the same team.
Yeah. Okay.
Not common. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you are in. You get there. You're in those. You started getting arrested during these times, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I guess the straightforward way. How do you get arrested while you're a SEAL? Like, you have
you get drunk as
you have like, so you're like. Because somebody who, like, I'm around, like, a lot of my friends are in the military. Like, I understand a little bit of it, but I don't understand, like, how it all works. So I'm assuming this happens when you're on, like, you're not on mission, you're off, you're just at home, and you're just like
out in town partying. To being, off time. We lived out in town, so you don't live on the base.
Oh, okay. See, that was my next question, because I figured you guys would live on a base. Like, I was like,
SEAL special operator, like how it worked for us. I mean, we were immediately sent from graduating buds. We lived out in town, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So there was we don't sleep on the base in the barracks and stuff. So that there's a little bit of autonomy there. And so I was out in town and working hard, training hard. Was so fucking happy. It was like achieving my dream, but that was the problem, man. I was in a celebratory mood. I had kind of thought I had arrived, and that's fucking dangerous, right? And I always tell people, man, if you're peaking, you slow the fuck down. That is the time you need to absolutely hit that sills, that stop, listen, look, right, and quiet, and look around, right? Because if you're feeling fucking good on top of the world, man, there's nowhere else to go but down, right? Obviously, if you're just think you're at the top. Man, be careful, right? That's when you need to reset, reassess you're like, man, I'm getting a little ahead of my skis here, right? The momentum's picking up. And then generally the universe will send us little signs. God sends us signs, man. It's, hey man, something bad happens here and something bad happens here. And then the fucking big thing happens. It's almost always how it goes. It's a pattern. This life and this universe is recognizing patterns. And that's what it was. And I was not mature enough to recognize those patterns when they were developing. And I was getting fucking blackout drunk, man. Like often, and so that was kind of how I got down. And man, it was fine until it's not, right? And that's all it takes is fucking one time, and that's kind of what happened to me. I was playing with fire so many times that, man, I hit a guy in a bar, then that was an aggravated assault charge, right? And all these cascading shit, and then I fucking do it again, right? And it was like and then it was just a mountain of administrative shit fell on top of me, man. And man, I got that. extra tests, all this shit, and they hit me on performance enhancing drugs, and I fucking got kicked out of the military for that after 7 years and some change.
That was when you hopped on a golf cart, right?
I hopped, yeah.
Ripping tasers out and stick the cane on
dog
you.
biting my ass, and man, that was not a smart thing. And it's how quickly a small dumb decision can cascade, and that's why, bro, every fucking decision matters. Every decision. There's this world is pluses and minuses, man. Everything is accounted for. Every thought, every movement, every action, what you think's not a big deal. It fucking, man, if you go left and not right, that matters. That changes the course of your life, right? That butterfly effect is real. And once you start really understanding the principles of that, those universal laws and principles of staying present, putting out, really thinking about every decision you're making and how it's affecting you and the people around you, man, things start to get a lot easier. Things start to get a lot more clear. And I was just not even thinking in those terms yet. I hadn't lost enough, right? That's the truth.
So I really like on Instagram, you always talk about the universal laws.
Yeah.
If you had a favorite, which one would be your favorite? Like, which one is the universal law that just resonates with you the most?
Man, I love law of compensation, man, right? I really like law of compensation. There's other more, popular laws that people know about. But law of compensation, man, you reap what you sow. Man, you reap what you sow, man. And that is what you think, what you do, right? It's not just people think, oh, but if I do this, then man, it's also in how you're thinking, right? Are you reaping that bountiful harvest in your mind, right? Because if you're not thinking in terms of that, then man, you're not going to be able to harvest that crop later because you're not even thinking in that capacity.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, okay, so you kicked out of SEALs, and then you're in your truck, and you had a sawed-off shotgun on your lap for, again, like we talked about earlier, like a couple days, right? There was a couple days of despair where you had to sit there and marinate, What was that time like? Those few days, like, how was that?
Man, that was every once in a while my mind will kind of go there, and I'll think about that low point where I was and how, because I want to be able to understand it more, right? To articulate it to people, and because a lot of people are there and they have been there, right? And it was tired. That's what it felt like. I was tired, man. I was tired of trying, and it felt like, and I still hadn't taken ownership yet, right? I was still in that despair. Depression generally is a very selfish state, and that's why I was depressed. I was like, man, I'm so tired of this. I keep this. I lost my title, and I had been working in the civilian world, right? And now, it was always I, right? And that sound or whatever, and that higher consciousness, God came into me once again, and I was just fucking bitch. Like, and that was really what it said. And it was such a clear message about listen to yourself. Like, put a mic up to your inner dialogue right now and record that shit. Yeah. Play it back. What does it sound like? Man, it would sound fucking pathetic. It would have sounded pathetic, and I knew it did. Yeah. And that's kind of what shook me out of it a little bit, is I thought of my mom and my sister, and because I was raised by a single mom too, and Dad was, around, but not, my mom kind of was in the house with me the most. And it was a feeling of, man, let's change this shit up. Let's pick the pen up and stop being a fucking bitch, and let's write the story. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out with my boots on. I'm going to join the French Foreign Legion. And that's exactly kind of how, and then fucking days later, man, I was in France.
Yeah. So how did you? So you just said fuck it and just hopped on a plane, drove out to LAX or something.
Dude, I was in Hawaii, so I had to.
Oh, you're in Hawaii.
I was in the east. I was in the jungle, going native, parked in the jungle. I had no gas, no money, nothing, dude. Oh. I was like in the jungle, living in the jungle, bro, straight native, and next to the erupting volcano. Right? Dead serious, on like the rural part of Hawaii on the Big Island.
Yeah.
And because I'd moved out there to kind of like get away and just reset and try to get, and totally failed, right? And totally just hadn't been living right yet.
Yeah.
I sold my truck, took out some fast cash loans, man, and fucking flew to France on like my last dime.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is.
Yeah.
That's you took a big, because the selection of the French Foreign Legion, it's pretty select. I think I remember you saying it's like 1 of every 15 people gets in. Yeah. So you just took. So that was. Besides joining the SEAL, so that was just a massive bet that you decided, fucking, I'm taking it on myself. I know I can do it. Like, you had no backup plan. Like, it was, I'm going to go and I'm going to join.
Yeah. Ollie, you said it really well. You said no backup plan. That was, man, I cut up my credit cards before I fucking went to the gate. I had fucking no money, nothing. I didn't even have any ability to get any money, even if I had it. I didn't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people have to do, is you have to just ante the fuck up, right? Paint yourself into that corner, give yourself no plan B. And man, I seriously, even if my mind started to go to, man, what am I going to do? I couldn't even go there because I had no option, right? That's what I had the reality I had created for myself. So yeah, man, because I always kind of looked at it like, call it delusional. It might be delusional confidence, but I'm like, man, you're not going to know unless you do it, right? Unless you try. And same with SEAL training, man. They were like, it's a small percentage. I'm like, well, good, because I'm that fucking small percentage. And they said, well, it's not very much. I was like, well, good. Well, somebody gets picked. Yeah. Who gets picked if I don't get picked? That's the way I would at least say it. I don't know if it's fucking correct, right? Right? There's a lot better athletes, there's a lot better fucking shots, there's better fucking soldiers in general, right? 100%. And with a lot less checkered background, probably smarter too. So I was just, but that was, let's figure it out. Let's see. Let's party. Let's go fucking see what they got going on, man. Yeah.
So you show up, and then what's that? Somebody greets you at the door.
Yeah.
And then what's that like? Like,
it's a weird moment because the place looks like an old medieval castle. It's like a big brick building with iron and wood gate, and it's kind of unassuming too. It's like in a fucking neighborhood on the east side of Paris. Took a train out there. I was sleeping at a hostel, getting the drugs out of my system and shit, like trying to flush it out, and taking some runs and trying to like just get my mind wrapped around it. And then I went out there, and there was a moment where I go, man, I'm really here, about to do this. I have my passport, my bag, and you just go knock on the door. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You go there on Christmas Day, they'll open the door.
There's a guy there.
Yeah, there's a guy there. There's no application process. You don't call ahead and set an appointment. You just knock on the door, and a dude with a gun, or the berets will be like, okay, why are you here? And I'm like, je suis ici pour la Legion. I Googled it.
Yeah, that's all you knew how to say. Yeah.
No, friend. And he takes your passport, and he told me to get up on the pull-up bar, man. That's exactly how it went down for me, pretty much.
Really? They said
not right at the gate. Sometimes they do, but he's like, hey, go sit down, right? And then a guy came and got me, and then I went back, and I was like, all right, we're doing this. We're committed.
When did they find out that you were a SEAL? Right then, when they knock on the door, or did they do a background?
I had my DD-214, so I brought it just in case. But it wasn't until the next day, because right that night they'd give you a preliminary IQ test, and they give you. I mean, it was Sunday night at like 9 o'clock when I went in, and it was preliminary IQ test. Like, here's a rock and here's a square. Like, very, very easy. The first one.
Yeah.
Just to make sure you're not, and check your bag. Make sure you're not
retarded.
Hey, make sure also you don't have anything crazy. Ask you a couple questions. Just make sure you're like mentally sound.
Yeah.
And then the pull-up bar. And then they have a bunch of Legionnaires who are already in there. Not Legionnaires, but recruits.
Yeah.
Watching, sizing dudes up coming in who are already there. And then they put you in a big kind of barracks room. And then you wait, and then you start this process. And it was the next day when I went and did my first interview that they looked at my paperwork, and he was like, all right, oh, you're a SEAL? Okay, like, why the fuck are you here? That type of thing.
What did you tell them?
I ruined my life. I need a second chance, man.
So you could be straight up with them.
I was like, bro, I got kicked out of the military. I fucking ruined my life. I am burning in, right? I didn't tell them all the drug use and all that shit. You gotta be strategic, right?
Yeah, of course.
And I'm not telling you to lie, but be strategic. And I told them I needed a second chance, man. I'll work here well. Just give me an opportunity to get my foot in the door.
So what was your time like while you were there? Because or do you still have a contract with them? Or because I know because you do 5 years, right? You do 5 years, and you're coming up on 5 years pretty.
I was coming up on 5, but I had to cut it short because of the YouTube. They were gonna put me in jail. Dead serious. Before they kicked me out if I didn't pull it down.
Oh shit!
I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Right?
Yeah.
I was already getting emails like, dude, you saved my life, and this. I wasn't expecting to get that type of traction that fast. And so I was hoping it was going to burn it, but it kicked off quick. And man, then I started getting really emails like, bro, you being honest about that really saved my life. And that's when I knew. I'm like, look, people can call it what they want, right? Dude, man, bro, I knew what path I was supposed to be on. And I know that there's a much bigger purpose than some fucking me moving trucks around for fucking 4 months.
Yeah.
When I could be saving people's lives and prepping my life also.
1000%.
Right? I'm like, man, I'm not going to sit here. And not only that, I couldn't have even done that because they're going to lock me in a box for 4 months on food discipline, bro. Bread and water, dude, pretty much. Yeah, bro. I was like, no. And not for France. Bro, I'm an American. Not for a foreign government. Dude, my loyalty is the United States, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to jail for my fucking YouTube for the French Foreign Legion. Get fucked. Right. And so I got an attorney. I tried to do it.
Yeah.
I was like, look, I just want to work on this. Can we do this? And we pushed it as far as we could for about a couple months. I stayed in France fighting this, and they locked all my shit up at the base. You know, all the respect to the Legion, I understand their angle, right? They can't control the dialogue, even though I was respectful, and I always will be about the Legion. I'm grateful. But they don't know if I'll fly off the handle and just run my suck, right? And I understand that, right? So it was... It's not me, it's you, you know? And so we pretty much just bygones be bygones, and it's all, you know, we had to break my contract.
Yeah. Okay. So you leave France, you come back out here. What's now? I mean, this is like another start over from the beginning. Like now, how was your journey from, you know, having to start over once you got kicked out of SEALs, having to start over, you know, all that other shit, and then now coming back, what was that time like? I'm sure you've gained a lot of wisdom through that, so you probably knew how to handle it and pivot quicker. But how did that go? You get back to the States and you're like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna keep making YouTube video. Like how did that all? What was the vision?
I knew the path and I knew exactly what I was gonna be doing, and I was like, I'm not gonna divert from this. And also something really, really, it was a story of redemption, right? People are like, well, you didn't finish. It's not, man, my story of redemption was learning how to live correctly, right? Learning God's plan, living aligned, and having good days every day, right? Not doing things I was shameful about, that I regretted, destroying my life. That was what I needed to learn. And also, I learned something in that barracks room, like that took me years to kind of build into this system and learn how to be content, right? Every day. And not have these bad days again and again and again and destroy my life with revolving self-sabotage, is I realized, bro, I don't need external validation to make myself happy. And that was the thing that when I learned that, it was the world opened up. I don't need a title about what I do. Man, decide who you want to be, not what you want to do. And that's once I had never done that. I had always been really deliberate about what I wanted to do, be a SEAL, be a leader. But not any time during that did I decide who I wanted to be. Man, I'm this type of motherfucker that shows up every day, does this. His family respects him. He respects himself. Once I unlocked that door, man, I was like, okay, I'm good. So when they said, hey, man, you can't be a Legionnaire anymore, I said, all right, fine. Cool, man, I'm good, right? That's fine. I appreciate the time. And then so when it was time to go, I felt fucking awesome. And the autonomy's been great. Getting back. I missed America, bro. Wanted to kiss, like just things you miss about America. Europe's not America, right? And France is definitely not America. Beautiful country, but just, you know, difficult. The language also, just it's difficult to maneuver sometimes. And getting back I just did not miss though, right? The same schedule that I kept on myself in that barracks room, I keep here, right? Even with living with my girlfriend in the house. Up at 2:30, up at 3, right? All those daily disciplines, the videos, right? Keep the content, keep the message clear, keep engaged with the purpose driven. And there's, with the distractions, that was like a lot of concerns as people make, hey, you're gonna have a bunch of distractions, you're gonna go right back. Fucking negative, man. Absolutely not, because I know who I am now. I have the daily habits that'll actually back that shit up now, right? And I learned how to say no to myself. I learned how to go, man, I kind of want to, like, I have this still daily, man, I have this, like, kind of want to burn it all down. It's this weird thing. And I've really been able to examine it now, though, from a bird's eye view. I go, man, why do you want to do that right now? Why do you want to go do that sketchy, weird shit right now? Like in the middle of the day, like you're having a good day. Why do you want to ruin your fucking day, right? And so I go, I'm not going to do that. When back in the day, not even a question, I would have done it. It would have just been like, oh, this is what I want to do. I'm going to fucking do it. Like a fucking child, man. Like I hadn't learned how to be a fucking man yet for so many years. Even when I was a SEAL, man, I was acting like a fucking kid. So once I kind of built that, man, it's not just for me, it's for my family. It's like I was ruining other people's lives too, and started to take a little fucking responsibility. Man, things got way better, right?
Oh, well, so that's like for me. So like I had my son when I was 17 years old, right? Had my son when I was 17. And, you know, like I said, I got out of high school. I was the jack guy. I was the guy who brought my meals and stuff like that. And then I started eating myself away. And it was, remember, so I got all the way up 296 pounds. But the impulse control, I think is like what you're talking about, is that impulse control. Because I would still to this day, like I'm always like, I want to eat fucking 3 pizzas right now. I just want to, it's such a weird thing to compare it to, like what you just did to me. But it's like, how I see it, it's like, I fucking want that. I want 3 pizzas right now. And I go back to like eating myself away. And that my form of self-sabotage was just eating myself away. All my stress, all my anxiety, all of my pains, all my insecurities was eating myself into my own fucking death.
What was it when you were in high school, when you were like packing yams, right? What was it? What discipline was there that got lost? Right? Like, because you weren't hammering 3 pizzas down then. So then why did it go from, you know, wanting to hammer 3 pizzas down from eating yams, right?
It became, well, it was the obsession with the obsession with the scale and my insecurity of my weight. Yeah. For sure. Because when I started working out, I was 15 years old. And I was 6'1" at the time, and I was 118 pounds.
Oh, man.
So I was a fucking rail.
Yeah.
So me being a rail, I got picked on so bad, like really bad. Like I used to get bullied, fucked up. I'm sure people have been bullied worse, but like I got it fucked with me bad. And so I fell into the obsession with seeing the scale go up and not necessarily like, yeah. So it got to a point where it became the foods that I started, because I got up to about 215, 220, and I looked good. I was maybe 18, 19 years old. I looked fucking good, and I should have kept it there. Should have is a bad word to use, but you know. And once I got there, I wasn't big enough. I wasn't. And then, of course, I started working for BMW. And then so it was kind of just like, I'm working all the day, you know, because anybody in the car business, dude, you're working 5-6 days a week, 12 hours a day. Like, you're always working. So it was just, dude, they would order pizzas there. They would order fucking everything. And I worked at a restaurant before then. And when I was working at the restaurant, I was the food expo. So, but I wasn't delivering food. I was in charge of the line. So I was like the head chef at an old school restaurant is the expo. That's what I did. So I ran the line. So of course, when food would come forward, I was in control of that. If I saw fucking nachos I liked, right? You know what I mean? Like
rolling.
Yeah. Quality control, you know, and I fell in love with the scale more than anything, because my insecurity of my weight was so bad. But then it became addictive, because then all those foods, all that shit, all Pop-Tarts, processed muffins, DiGiorno pizzas, mac and cheese pastas, they're filled with chemicals that are addictive. That shit's addictive. It's like fucking, it's not quite like the drug side, but it's close as far as it's hard to get out of. Like, and so I just fell into a pattern of like, I want more food. I'm craving it. And I didn't have the impulse control to look at myself in the mirror and go, I'm becoming a fat motherfucker. Like, I was just like, let me just keep going.
Well, the food's almost some more difficult. And I think anybody who's into fitness or whatever has those moments where it's like, man, I just gonna house some stuff, right? And because you're confronted with it every day. It's something that you're confronted with. Everybody is. Every single day you're getting confronted with this option again and again and again and again. So you have so many moments where you can break, and that's difficult, right? Especially if you haven't built up. I always say, man, willpower is a muscle, and you got to exercise it daily. And if before in my life, and I think you can identify with just how you just explained this, man, if you're not exercising willpower, it's fucking hard. Right? It becomes very difficult to say no to yourself, man. No, and once you start little things, I'm going to get up at this time. I'm going to eat this food. I'm going to hit my macros this day. And you do it again and again and again and again. It gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and your belief in yourself gets stronger with that, and your willpower also gets stronger. And it's an exponential growth.
You talked about it the other day in a video that you made. It might have been a YouTube video. You talked about slipping, and when you could feel yourself slipping. Yeah. And I was like, dude, that's because like a couple weeks ago, I felt myself slipping. I couldn't narrow it down to that, but I was like, it's okay if I have, because my son, like, he might have some chicken nuggets or some shit, and then I'll be like, it's okay if I have one. But then it was like, ooh, hey, woman, I call my wife woman, that's but super old school. I'd be like, hey, can you make me some too? And she'd make me chicken nuggets, and then I started eating chicken nuggets, and then the next day it was like, chicken nuggets ain't too bad. I did go to jujitsu, I did train. Let me have another. Can you make me some more? And then it starts almost like that one. As much as it builds momentum in a positive way, it can do the adverse.
100%, and that's that slip, man, and it gets easier to catch. When you live in that aligned path, then it gets easier to catch because you catch it. But man, it's a terrible feeling when you feel yourself slipping. I really start to take a mental dive when I'm starting to slip. I go, hey man, next thing I know, I'm not working out as hard. Next thing I know, I'm fucking cutting it 15 minutes shy. I'm cutting the reps short. Next thing I know, I'm fucking, I didn't even track my macros today, right? It's like, then I look back, I'm like, why do I feel like shit today? And this week's been, I'm fucking slipping, right? And then you just ratchet it back down. But if you don't have the tools to know where to ratchet it back down to, which is why, like, how we, kind of hiring coaching is fucking phenomenal, because I've done it, you've done it, anybody who's done, the best swimmer in the world is a fucking coach, right? People are like, well, I don't need a coach. Oh, are you the best at life ever? You don't need to be some outside information, man. What they do is, first of all, as my boy Fraser Bailey said, you collapse the time horizon on your goals. That's one thing, right? So you collapse the time horizon. What might have taken you 3 years to figure out, maybe now you can do it in fucking 6 months. Guess what? That's a lot of fucking time and money saved. Secondly, man, sometimes you just don't know what to fucking do. I mean, before I started tracking macros, I didn't fucking know what to do. There's so much information out there about everything. I didn't know what to do. So you get that analysis paralysis where I just wouldn't do anything. I just continue to do what I've been doing, but not getting the results I want and fucking expecting anything to change. Man, put some new mojo, new energy into the system. Get the tools, man. Get the tools so you actually can go, man, I'm slipping. Okay, I have a baseline. Get that baseline, I think, is probably the most important piece, because then you're like, man, I've been eating chicken nut. But you know what you're doing wrong, and so you can pull it out quickly. Right? You're like, okay, I can pull these things out because I wasn't doing that before, right?
Well, like you said, like the best swimmer in the world, anytime I hear somebody, like, of course, like when I'm conversating with them, they're like, I don't think I really need a coach. I'm like, dude, fucking Michael Jordan had a coach. What? What do you mean you don't need a coach? But fucking Michael Jordan did. Like, but I think you'll like this, because I have a great analogy for what coaching does. So I went to Home Depot. This is probably like 5 or 6 weeks ago. Went there with my son, and I was looking for a tarp for my cold plunge because it was supposed to start raining soon. So I knew rain was coming, and I was like, I gotta look for a tarp. I walked around the store for fucking 30 or 40 minutes, and I couldn't find a fucking tarp. Could not find one. I looked fucking everywhere, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go ask somebody. I go up and I ask this guy, I'm like, hey man, can you show me where the tarps are? Oh yeah, absolutely, right here. It was right in front of my face. He walked me in less than a fucking...
Really good analogy.
And I was like, and in that moment, I was literally like, wow, I just was shown exactly what coaching is.
And how much time did that cost you? How much money did that cost you, right? And Your life. Your life.
1,000%. What would have normally taken me, if I would have hired a coach or gone up and asked that guy to show me the way, it would have taken me a minute. But instead, I tried finding my own way, and I didn't get anywhere with it. And it took me 40 fucking minutes of my life.
And it's also the downstream costs. Yeah. People get concerned about those upfront costs. I go, bro, how much is it going to cost you in 2 years down doing these bad habits? The cigarettes, the alcohol, the whatever, your lives, relationships. How much is it going to cost you, man, versus whatever little money up at the front to get your shit straight?
Or even like, how much is it going to cost your family if you fucking die because of...
Bro, that's heavy, right?
Like, that's like the real...
That's the real cost, the real expense.
I was talking to this guy, and he was like, dude, he was like 300 something pounds, diabetic. His blood sugar was over 200. So like, I'm talking like, I was like, bro, he had sleep apnea, everything. His cousin had just passed away like a month prior, same age as him, same situations. And I asked him, and I wanted to know, I was like, hey, like, if you don't start doing something about this, do you think you're going to end up like your cousin? He said, no, I don't think I will.
Ow.
And I was like, dude, it's like sometimes, but I can understand because that I was once there. Like, I look like Jay Cutler, even though I really did.
Yeah.
I was in fucking denial of the fact of how bad things had gotten. And I actually, in my doctor, became a mentor, and then I ended up working with do you know who Stan Efferding is? Stan Efferding. He was Hafthor Bjornsson's coach.
Okay.
Or when he broke the world deadlift record. He's John Jones's coach. I ended up the vertical diet. I popped in with him and learned all of his principles, and I would pay for freaking.
You've invested in some really legit coaching, man.
Oh yeah, everything that man Stan has taught me it's crazy because like. I would always I would pay for the consultation calls with him, and I would hop on a call and I'd get I would just be taking crazy notes because this man's a freaking genius, and I would just take everything down and learn everything, and it would save me so much time, but it saved my life, dude. Because his main principle is sustainability is key. The greatest diet in the world is the one that you'll stick to.
Yeah.
The greatest workout plan in the world is the one that you'll stick to.
Yeah, I dig that.
And that once I started realizing that, and then I started helping my clients with that, is like, look, how are we going to be able to make you stick to this? Yeah. Like straight up, dude, I can't wake up at 2:45 in the morning like you do. That's fucking crazy. I don't know how you do it, but I can wake up at 5. Okay.
Yeah. What are you gonna keep doing?
Yeah, I can wake up at 5. Okay, I can wake up at 5. Okay, I eat steak and rice every meal because I love steak, and I'm okay with rice. All right, whatever. But some people are like, oh, I got to change it up or whatever, and I'm not that way. But
yeah, I'm similar. I could eat the same thing every day.
Same shit every single day. But so yeah, I eat the same shit. I don't fuck around with anything else, and I try to impulse control is my biggest thing that I deal with now. Is I always try to put myself in all right, I can't dig into this because I'm trying to set an example for the people that I'm trying to help. Like I can't go out and be fucking around with this stuff.
Sustainability is key, man. Because when I'll talk to guys, and even how I just think about how I do it, man. This may not be like the most popular thing to say, but I don't like killing myself in the fucking gym, dude.
Yeah.
I don't like to dread going in there. Yeah. I like to enjoy it, right? And I'm not saying don't push yourself, right? That's part of the fun of it but bro, I'm not going to go do CrossFit every fucking day. Yeah. That is just not happening. I fucking hate it. You know why? Because it's too fucking hard, bro. Bro, I've done a lot of hard shit in my life. Man, I don't want to go do thrusters for fucking an hour, right? Some people like to get down like that. For me, I will not stay with that for the rest of my life. And you're not going to do it when you're 80. Right? So I like to do stuff I know I'll do every fucking day, sometimes twice a day, right? And then I like to eat tight, right? I can always improve. And like that's also like I always see, I'm like, man, I got so many different levels I need to be hitting, right? And I increase the intensity, tighten the diet, right? That's always the constant game that I love and that I seek, right? I try to seek out people with better physique, smarter, better. I'm like, man, ask them, drop the ego, learn some shit. And that's been great for me is when I'm talking to you, I go, look, how are you going to keep doing this, right? Let's not go on some crazy crash diet that you're going to come right off of. Let's get you on some decent, slight calorie deficit, right? And just let's let's eat reasonably. That doesn't have to be, man, you just eat peanuts and fucking, right? Like snails or something. That's going to be so hard to maintain. Let's get something reasonable.
Within a 6-hour window.
Yeah, let's get something reasonable and something sustainable that we can hit on repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
And so I want to touch on your morning routine. So you wake up at 2:30 or 2:45, 3 o'clock. What do you do? What is that? And then you do, like, I know you said Mike Tyson push-ups, right? What do you go through?
So I just center. No inputs. That's like the huge piece. No phone, no outside electronic inputs, no emails, right? Because once we start down that path, we get our soul sucked out of us into the matrix. I want to sit, man, and center myself. I don't meditate and all, red dot, cold plunge. I see the benefits of it, but I like something that I can repeat all the time at an Airbnb, at a hotel. It's something simple. So I need black coffee and a floor. Black coffee and a floor is all I need. And I don't do some crazy workout, right? Our vibration's low. I center myself for 10, 15, drink some coffee. Then I go into some Mike Tyson push-ups just because I fucking like them. They're kind of cool and and a burpee's doing too much for me at 3 o'clock in the morning. And they're loud, dude, right? People are usually sleeping in your house. They're fucking loud, dude. And I'm not trying to bang around and stuff. So just to raise my vibrational, and then I go into some deliberate visualization for like 10 to 15 minutes. That's what I do. And it's allocated time where I'm thinking about only what I fucking want to have happen. So much time in our day we spend projecting problems, and we're human. We're biologically wired that way to do that. Food, shelter, I need, that's what we do. We seek out problems to solve. This isn't the time for that. This is me thinking about that 10.0 self, that who do I want to be? Less than what I want, right? Part of it, part of the vision, but it's who I want to be in that picture, right? How I'm respected, how I'm doing, what I look like. That's all part of it. And I listen to some music when I do it, so it's like kind of enjoyable.
And then afterwards you go hit the gym.
Yeah, and then I just go into my day normal, right? Then I'll just go into my day. But it's like 30 minutes, 45 minutes in the morning. Simple, nothing too crazy, right? That's what I like. That's what's kind of what I've developed, and I think is probably the most foundational key thing that I show guys how to do is to get on that program. Because, man, it's one of those things, what you start doing, you won't not do it because, man, you're going to fucking realize how nice it sets your day up. Yeah. You've raised your vibrational and you've armored yourself. Now, if you get that bad email, you'll handle it much better than if you just woke up and just get blasted with it. Yeah.
Why do you think it's so hard for guys to ask for help when they clearly have a problem? They want what you or I have with the discipline, with the morning routine, with all these things, but they can't ask for help. They can't reach out. They can't. What is it for the viewers who are watching that want it?
It's two things. It's denial or ego. Maybe both, right? Because you have got to get honest about where you're at to ask for help. You don't know you'd ask for help if you aren't honest. And that's fucking scary, man. To really look yourself in the mirror and go, where am I at? Quiet, alone in the fucking mirror. Where's my life at? That's scary because it requires change, right? If you want to get out of it. And that's intimidating as fuck because that means to change your entire life and what you're doing. That's safe. Even in misery, people feel safe, right? And I think that honesty and that ownership piece is that next part of it, right? So all right, now I'm going to take control of my life. And dude, it takes stripping that ego away and reaching out to another man and asking for help, man. It feels weak, but it's not. That's fucking strength, man. That's absolute strength.
1,000%. Absolutely. I agree with that. So I have a question regarding that. What time do you go to sleep if you're waking up at 2:30? That just popped in my head right now.
Man, like 10.
Like 10?
Yeah.
What? So you're only getting like 4 hours of sleep? What is that, 5 hours of sleep?
Tapped in, aligned, bro. I might push it to 3 if I'm feeling froggy, right? Or 3:15, right? If I'm feeling like if I get to bed at like 11 or something, I might wake up at like 3:15, 3:30. That's like,
wow. Is that a skill that you developed from like being?
Yeah, it didn't start there. No. I would sleep in, bro. I had no fucking discipline in that capacity. I would get up early and work out sometimes, but I'd go on and off, and like I didn't build that up until the Legion when everybody gets up at 5:30. I started getting up at 3:30, and that's when like the whole world opened up. I realized, first of all, I fucking had more time to get some shit done, some projects that I wouldn't do later. I started to self-reflect. I started to look into Stoicism and old samurai philosophers like Musashi. And I started actually having time and quiet because everyone else is fucking sleeping. And I'm in a barracks room, so I had time to think. And once I had time to think, I had time to strategize. I had time to assess myself. And I started to fucking feel better and more confident. Even after I've done all that, I must have been suffering from some lack of self-worth to keep perpetually self-sabotaging. My self-talk wasn't correct, even if I thought I was confident. But it wasn't. It was like bravado, not confidence, true confidence. And it started at 5, actually. And I was in the hospital. Then it started at 4. I had a little injury. Then it got to 3:30. Then it got to 3, right? And then I had more shit to do, so I'd get up a little bit earlier, right? And that's kind of how it just kind of happened like that. I'm about maxed out though, right? There's some guys though. I was like I was on a wave at one point, and one guy goes, "Bro," he goes, "I mean this respectfully." He goes, "You're gonna be so fucking hard. Your morning workout's gonna start the night before." He goes, "I know." And I got up at like 11:50 one time, and I'm like, "Oh shit, he's right." I woke up at 11:50, and I'm like, "What? I'm not gonna. This is ridiculous, man."
That's good shit, man. Well, yeah, because I know we're coming close to time, so I just want to, number one, thank you for having us come out here. Yeah, absolutely.
Glad to make the connection.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. But if you can leave the people off with one last message, something for somebody who is out there who is maybe at a low point in their life. You know, what's something that they can take with them to help them reflect and kick their in the ass a little bit.
Man, if you're feeling like you're walking through quicksand right now, it will pass. But guess what? Everyone's got a moment in their life where they're presented with an opportunity, an option. Man, I guarantee you, if you're watching this and you're feeling that way, this is yours. Do not wait. It's not going to get better. It's not just going to get better with time if you're not doing anything about it. Put some energy into the system. Be deliberate. Be decisive. Live that deliberate life. Nothing's going to happen that's legit by accident. No one's going to slide that fucking life you want under the fucking door. It's not going to happen. So get clearly what success looks like for you. What does being content and fulfilled look like for you? Then fucking find somebody that has what you want and fucking reach out to them.
Perfectly fucking said. Perfectly fucking said. So let's let the people, where can they find you? What are your socials? Yeah. Instagram, YouTube, or you got a website and email. Let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, Eddie can always get me on my contact form at taylorcavanaugh.com. It has a lot of information, just a little bit of the story, and can always get a little bit more information and reach me direct on my email, as well as my Instagram, tcavofficial. I'm Johnny on the spot with the DMs. I am always only one that answers. I answer all my emails, all my DMs personally. You're never going to get anybody else. And you can always check my YouTube out, TCAV TV, for all the long form stuff. And we got a lot of cool workout videos with some different crews and different gyms. And we're always coming out with those every week or so.
Where did that saying Johnny on the spot come from?
Man, I don't know.
I know, I love it.
Said it, man.
Oh shit, I love it.
Spot, man.
Johnny on the spot. Well, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, got a lot of value of it, make sure to like the video, subscribe, share this, but also I'm going to be linking all of Taylor's socials, email, stuff like that below for you guys to be able to check him out. But thank you guys. Have a great fucking day. God bless.